The first scream echoed through the canyon long before anyone on the settlement noticed something was wrong. The desert winds carried the sound across miles of blood-red rock and metallic sand, and only one person heard it clearly enough to stop in his tracks. Jackson Reed, the human everyone in Outpost 37 called reckless. Jackson had earned that reputation honestly. He was the kind of man who would run toward trouble just to see if he could beat it in a fistfight. He never followed orders, never backed down, and definitely never fought before acting. Most said he wouldn't live to see 30 because of it. But on that morning, as he stood near the ridge with his pack slung over one shoulder, Jackson frowned. A sound like that, raw pain, raw fear, didn't belong anywhere near the settlement. And it certainly wasn't human. He dropped his pack instantly. "Someone's in trouble," he muttered. The winds shifted, and the scream came again. Fainter, but unmistakably alien. Jackson didn't hesitate. He sprinted toward the canyon. Chapter 1. The Prisoner. Her name was Lyra Vesh, a member of the Sarathian people, a race known for their iridescent skin, luminous eyes, and peaceful diplomacy. For Sarathians, torture was inconceivable. They came from a culture built on harmony and emotion sympathy. To harm another being was to harm oneself, which is exactly why the Marauders took her. The Marauders, a brutal nomadic alien clan, thrived on pain. They were born from conquest, shaped by violence, and delighted in breaking creatures who believed in peace. When they captured Lyra during a trade route crossing, she knew she wouldn't survive long. A week had passed. She hung from her glowing restraints in the heart of a derelict cargo ship buried in the canyon's stone. Her arms trembled. Her voice was nearly gone. She shivered from cold and exhaustion, her silver-blue skin bruised from constant abuse. Each day, the Marauder leader, Zorak the Ironjaw, visited her with a smile. "You Sarathians break so beautifully," he would whisper, dragging a claw along her cheek. "Just one more day, maybe two." Today was no different. Zorak approached her again, but before he could speak, a faint rumble shook the cavern. One of the Marauders hissed, "Someone approaches." Zorak growled, "Impossible. No one knows we are here. But someone was coming. Someone dangerous. Someone very, very reckless." It says, Chapter 2, Jackson arrives. Jackson reached the canyon floor just as the sun dipped low, throwing long shadows through the crevice. He spotted something unnatural, a series of metallic tracks carved through sand. "Bingo," he muttered. He followed them until they led him to a rusted cargo ship hidden behind a curtain of rock. Two Marauder guards stood out front, their horned silhouettes unmistakable. Jackson grinned. "I've been wanting to punch something all week." He picked up a rock and hurled it. It clanged off the hull loud enough to echo. The guards turned. Jackson was already running. The first Marauder swung a massive energy staff. Jackson slid underneath, grabbed the alien's knee, and twisted until a sickening snap rang out. The Marauder collapsed. The second guard lunged. Jackson headbutted him. "Reckless," Jackson muttered, as pain shot through his skull, but effective. He grabbed the fallen alien's plasma rifle and blasted the door control. The entrance hissed open. The smell of metal, chemicals, and dried blood drifted out. "Hang on," he whispered to whoever was inside. "I'm coming." Chapter 3. The First Meeting. Lyra blinked through half-closed eyes as the door to her chamber burst open. She thought it was another Marauder. She braced herself. But instead of a hulking brute, a tall human with dust-covered boots and messy dark hair stepped through. He saw her and stopped cold. "Holy, they've been torturing you?" he whispered, voice tight with anger. Lyra tried to speak, but her parched throat refused. She shook her head frantically, trying to warn him. "Behind you," she croaked. Jackson turned just as a marauder leapt from the shadows. He didn't flinch. He fired once. The alien dropped. Lyra's eyes widened. This human? He was fast. Reckless, but fast. He ran to her restraints and inspected the glowing cables. "These look complicated," he muttered. "So, pulling them probably isn't the best idea, right?" Lyra gave a weak nod. "Okay, fine. I'll be gentle-ish." He scanned the wall and found a control panel. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches. The panel short-circuited, sparks flying. The restraints powered down instantly. Lyra fell forward, but Jackson caught her effortlessly. "Easy," he whispered. "You're safe now." Safe. She hadn't heard that word in days. Her luminous violet eyes met his dark brown ones. For the first time since her capture, she felt a flicker of hope. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Jackson Reed, resident idiot of Outpost 37, he said with a smirk. "And I got you." But before she could respond, a thunderous roar shook the ship. Zorak had arrived. Chapter 4. Hunted. Jackson slung Lyra's arm over his shoulder and helped her out of the chamber. Heavy footsteps echoed behind them. "You freed my prize," Zorak's voice thundered. "Human, you will die slowly." Yeah, Jackson muttered. "Get in line." He fired a plasma shot down the hall, but Zorak deflected it with a metallic gauntlet. Lyra gasped. "You can't fight him." "I can try." "That's not encouraging." He grinned. "I'm not here to encourage. You want encouragement? Find someone responsible." They dashed deeper into the ship, weaving through corridors. Lyra's strength slowly returned. Sarathians healed a little faster than humans when free from restraints. She straightened up and released Jackson's arm. "You can run now," she whispered. "Great, because I'm terrible at graceful carrying." They sprinted together, slipping through narrow maintenance tunnels, as Zorak roared orders. "Marauders! Hunt them!" Tunnel after tunnel, corner after corner. But every route seemed blocked. Jackson cursed. They were waiting. "They will not stop," Lyra whispered. "Zorak breaks his toys. He does not let them escape." Jackson looked at her. "You're not a toy. You're someone who needs help." Her chest tightened. Sarathians always sensed truth through emotion, and Jackson's words carried no deception. He meant it. "We need an exit," she said. "There should be a vent shaft up ahead." "Perfect. Love vent shafts. Big fan." "You are strange," she said. He laughed. "You have no idea." Chapter 5. The Vent Shaft. The shaft was narrow, rusted, and barely big enough for one person at a time. Jackson went first, squeezing upward, pulling himself along the metal rungs. Lyra followed, her movements more fluid now that her limbs were free. Halfway up, she sensed danger. "Stop," she whispered. "What? Why?" She closed her eyes. Sarathian senses extended faint energy awareness. She felt something above. Heat. Movement. A marauder waits at the top. Jackson sighed. "Of course he does. What will you do?" "Same thing I always do." "What is that?" "Make bad decisions." Before she could stop him, he pushed upward, burst through the opening, and punched the waiting marauder square in the throat. The alien staggered. Jackson grabbed him, dragged him halfway into the shaft, and kicked him downward. The Marauder fell, straight onto 3 more climbing up behind them. "Problem solved," Jackson said. Lyra shook her head. "You are chaos incarnate. And yet it keeps working." They crawled through the top exit and emerged onto the canyon's upper ridge. Fresh air hit them like a blessing. But freedom was short-lived. Zorak climbed out behind them. Chapter 6, The Showdown. Jackson pushed Lyra behind a boulder. "Stay down. You can't fight him alone." "Not alone, just less together." Zorak stomped forward, towering over Jackson. "You think you can steal from me, human? I'm not stealing. Returning a kidnapped person. That's called being a decent guy." Zorak roared and lunged. Jackson rolled aside, fired the plasma rifle, then ducked a massive swing. Lyra watched anxiously. Zorak was stronger, faster, and armored. Jackson was just stubborn. Zorak grabbed Jackson by the throat and lifted him. "Humans break easily," he hissed. Jackson gasped for air. His vision blurred. Lyra felt panic rise inside her. Sarathians hated violence. But she couldn't watch Jackson die. Not after he risked everything for her. She pressed both palms together. A soft glow formed between them. Sarathian resonance energy. She aimed carefully and released it. A wave of violet light slammed into Zorak's back. He stumbled, loosening his grip. Jackson dropped to the ground, coughing. Lyra called out, "Get up." Jackson wiped blood from his lip. On it. Together, human recklessness and Sarathian resonance made a formidable pair. Jackson fired again. Lyra released a second blast. Zorak staggered. Third shot. Third blast. Zorak fell to his knees, armor cracked, breath ragged. "You cannot beat me," he growled. Jackson raised the plasma rifle. "Pretty sure we just did." He fired one last shot. Zorak collapsed. Silence filled the canyon. H2, Chapter 7, Aftermath. Jackson dropped onto a rock, exhausted. Lyra approached him slowly. Her bruises had faded to faint shadows, and her breathing was easier now. "You saved me," she whispered. "You saved me," he countered. She crouched down to his level and looked into his eyes. "Why risk your life for a stranger?" Jackson shrugged. "Didn't feel right to ignore you." "You don't know me." He smiled warmly. "I do now." Lyra felt her cheeks warm. Sarathians blushed with shimmering light. Soft pink radiated beneath her skin. Jackson blinked. "Whoa, that's beautiful." She glanced away shyly. "It is involuntary. Still beautiful." She looked back at him, touched by his sincerity. "You are unusual for a human." "Thanks, I get that a lot." She reached out and touched his hand, a Sarathian gesture of trust. "Jackson Reed," she said softly, "I owe you my life." "Nah, you owe me a meal. I'm starving." She laughed for the first time in a week. "A meal I can provide," she said warmly. They stood together as the sun dipped behind the canyon walls. Lyra, a peaceful being who had endured unimaginable suffering. Jackson, a reckless human who charged alone into danger for someone he didn't even know. Two worlds, one moment of rescue, an unbreakable bond forged in blood, courage, and hope. And as they walked toward Outpost 37, side by side, neither realized that this rescue was only the beginning of a far greater story. A story neither of them would ever forget. The stars appeared one by one as Jackson and Lyra walked out of the canyon. Above them, the night sky of Vorexis 9 shimmered like a sheet of molten silver. 2 moons rose slowly, casting pale light across the desert. Lyra walked in silence at first, her steps soft, thoughtful. Every few minutes, she glanced sideways at Jackson, studying him, trying to understand what kind of human would risk death for someone he had never met. Jackson, on the other hand, kicked rocks as he walked and muttered to himself. "Seriously need to stop almost dying," he said. "3rd time this month." Lyra's shimmering lips curled slightly. "Perhaps you need better hobbies." He laughed. "Hey, rescuing you was a great hobby." She blushed again, her skin glowing faint pink. "You Sarathians really glow when embarrassed?" Jackson teased. "No," she said quickly. The glow got brighter. Jackson smirked. "Right. Totally not glowing." Lyra sighed, but her eyes sparkled. For the first time in a week, she felt something that didn't hurt. Something warm. Something like safety. Chapter 8. Outpost 37. By the time they reached Outpost 37, the settlement buzzed with late-night activity. Humans, cyborgs, and a few docile alien species wandered between neon-lit buildings. Traders unloaded goods. Miners returned from the dust fields. Holographic signs flickered. Everyone knew Jackson by sight. Everyone also knew Lyra was not human, and definitely not okay. As they passed the checkpoint, a grizzled man with cybernetic eyes stepped forward. "Jackson," he said, "why do you look like you fell off a cliff and got chewed on?" Lyra tilted her head. "He fought Marauders." The man blinked. "You what?" Jackson shrugged. "It was Tuesday." The man rubbed his forehead. "And who is she?" Lyra took a small step forward and bowed gently. "Lyra Vesh of Seraphia. I was taken prisoner. Jackson rescued me." The man stared, then stared at Jackson, then sighed. "I'm writing a report, aren't I?" "Probably." The man glared. "No more stunts, Reed." "No promises." The man slapped his forehead. "Of course." He waved them through before he got a headache. Lyra leaned toward Jackson. "Do all humans speak like this to you?" "Oh no," Jackson said. Some yell. Chapter 9. Medical Bay. Inside the outpost's medical dome, the scent of sterilizers filled the air. Machines hummed softly as a medic drone scanned Lyra. Jackson waited nearby, leaning against the wall and tapping his foot. The drone beeped. "Sarathian subject exhibits severe dehydration, tissue damage, muscular atrophy, and lingering neurological stress. Estimated recovery time, 3 days with proper care." Lyra straightened. 3 days is nothing. I will recover." The drone hummed again. Emotional trauma detected. Lyra's breath caught slightly. She looked down. Jackson frowned. "Can you shut up about that part?" The drone beeped disapprovingly. "It is medically relevant." Jackson walked over and gently placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "Hey," he said softly, "you survived hell. No shame in being shaken." She looked up at him with wide, luminous eyes. "I do not like feeling broken." "You're not broken." "You saw me," she whispered, "hanging, weak, frightened." "Yeah? And I saw you blast a 7-foot marauder off his feet 20 minutes later. That doesn't look broken to me." She held his gaze. Something unspoken passed between them. Trust, gratitude, maybe more. Then the drone jabbed her with a healing stim. Lyra flinched. Jackson glared at the machine. Hey, at least warn her. Warning delivered, the drone replied flatly. No, it wasn't. Beep, Jackson groaned. I hate this thing. Lyra giggled lightly. The sound made Jackson forget he was annoyed at all. Chapter 10. The Debt. When her treatment finished, Lyra tried to stand, but her knees buckled. Jackson sprang forward and caught her again. He steadied her slowly. Easy. She felt heat rise in her cheeks. I am not used to being weak. You're not weak. You're recovering. She looked at him. I owe you a life debt, Jackson Reed. A what now? A Sarathian life debt. It is sacred. She placed 2 fingers over her heart. Until I repay you, I cannot leave your side. Jackson froze. Wait, so you're stuck with me? Yes, she said seriously. Until the debt is fulfilled. Jackson ran a hand down his face. Lyra, have you met me? I am extremely annoying. I have noticed, she said honestly. Then why do you look like that's not a bad thing? Lyra looked away quickly. It is complicated. Chapter 11. A New Threat. They exited the medical dome and stepped into the cool night. The moons cast pale shadows across the settlement. Lyra inhaled deeply. This air, it feels alive. Jackson nodded. Better than a Marauder ship, that's for sure. But before they could go far, alarm siren wailed across the outpost. Red lights flashed. A voice boomed over the speakers. Warning. Unidentified ships approaching. Prepare defenses. Jackson's expression hardened. No. No, 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 don't tell me. Lyra's heart dropped. The Marauders. They wouldn't. They would, she whispered. Jorak's clan does not accept defeat. If he died, his lieutenants will come for vengeance. Jackson groaned. Lyra, you could have mentioned that earlier. I thought they would retreat. They always retreat when a leader falls. Yeah, well, maybe today they're feeling extra stubborn. The sky lit up with streaks of fire as 6 Marauder ships descended. Jackson grabbed Lyra's hand. We're going. Where? Somewhere that doesn't involve dying. They ran as the first ship slammed into the outer defense towers. Chapter 12. Under Fire. Explosions rocked the settlement. Humans scattered. Defense cannons activated. Soldiers fired at descending Marauder troops. Jackson pulled Lyra behind a crashed cargo hauler as plasma shots tore through the air. Lyra clutched his arm. This is my fault. Hey, Jackson snapped. No, they captured you. They tortured you. They chose this fight. But I brought danger to your home. I brought danger to my home. I'm the idiot who went into their canyon hideout. If anything, this is on me. Lyra blinked. Her glow softened. You would take the blame? She whispered. For you? Yeah. Her breath caught. Then a plasma bolt hit the hauler beside them, spraying sparks. Jackson peeked out. There's too many. We need a plan. Lyra looked at the Marauder ships. Their weak point is the resonance core. If I could get close? Absolutely not. It is the only way. You're still healing, and your people will die if we do nothing. Jackson clenched his jaw hard. He hated that she was right. Fine, he growled, but we do it together. Lyra nodded once, firm, resolute. Her strength was returning. Her courage had never left. Chapter 13. The Resonance Plan. Jackson dashed from cover to cover, firing at Marauders to draw attention, while Lyra moved behind him. Her hands glowed brighter and brighter with each step. She felt her Sarathian energy responding to the chaos. Pain fueled resonance. Fear sharpened it. But something else strengthened her even more. Jackson's presence. He looked back frequently, making sure she was close. He wasn't protecting her out of duty or pity. He cared. Lyra felt it, and it gave her fire. They reached the first Marauder ship. Its hull throbbed with purple energy. Lyra placed both palms against it, her entire body illuminated. The glow spread from her eyes, her veins, her fingertips. Lyra, wait! A shockwave exploded outward, knocking Marauder soldiers off their feet. The ship vibrated violently. Then, boom! The resonance core ruptured. The ship fell sideways, crashing down in flames. Jackson's jaw dropped. Remind me never to make you angry. Lyra smiled breathlessly. I am not angry. You sure? Because that looked like fury. That was focus. Terrifying focus. Lyra laughed softly. Come, there are 5 more. Chapter 14. The Bond. They moved swiftly from one ship to the next. Lyra struck with growing precision. Jackson fought with relentless determination. The settlement forces rallied behind them. By the time the 4th ship fell, Lyra staggered. Jackson caught her instantly. Hey, stay with me. Her glow flickered. I pushed too far. You're done, he said firmly. We're pulling back. No arguments. She leaned into him, exhausted. But the last ships? Let the defense cannons handle those. You've done enough. Her breathing slowed. Her forehead rested lightly against his chest. Jackson, I feel strange. Yeah, that's probably exhaustion. No. Her voice softened. It is something else. What? When Sarathians share danger with another being, when they fight alongside someone, her eyes glowed faint pink. A bond forms. A deep one. Jackson swallowed. What kind of bond? A rare one, she whispered. One that does not break. Before he could ask more, a massive shadow fell over them. The last Marauder ship landed, and someone stepped out. Someone wearing Jorak's armor. But it wasn't Jorak. It was his brother, Vorak the Bloodfang. Chapter 15. Vorak's Vengeance. Vorak's voice was a deep, guttural snarl. You killed my brother. Lyra tensed. Jackson, I know, Jackson said. This again. Vorak raised a massive energy axe. The Sarathian dies first, then the human. Jackson stepped in front of Lyra immediately. You want her? You go through me. Vorak sneered, gladly. He charged. Jackson pushed Lyra aside and rolled as the axe carved into the ground. Sparks shot up. Lyra tried to rise, but her energy was drained. She could barely stand. Jackson, she cried. A second strike. Little busy. Vorak swung again. Jackson blocked with a half-broken plasma rifle that shattered instantly. Okay, bad idea. Lyra crawled forward, reaching out. I can help. No, Jackson barked. You're done. Stay back. Vorak slammed into Jackson, sending him flying into a metal beam. Jackson groaned and collapsed. Lyra screamed. Something inside her cracked. Not her bones, not her mind, her restraint, her fear, her self-doubt. She rose, weak but determined. Stay away from him, she choked. Vorak turned toward her. You are nothing. Lyra exhaled slowly. No, I am Sarathian. Her skin erupted in brilliant violet. Her eyes blazed. Her resonance ignited. Vorak swung at her. She caught the axe with her bare hand and shattered it with a pulse of energy. Vorak froze. Lyra stepped forward, glowing brighter and brighter. You tortured me, she said softly. You hunted me. You threatened him. She placed her palm over his armored chest, and now you answer for it. A blast of pure resonance engulfed Vorak. The shockwave knocked out windows across the settlement. When the light faded, Vorak lay unconscious, armor cracked, weapon destroyed. Lyra collapsed. Jackson crawled to her, breathless and shaken. He lifted her gently. Lyra, hey, stay awake. Her eyes fluttered. Did I protect you? Jackson touched his forehead to hers. Yeah, you did. She smiled weakly. Then the bond is real. He whispered. Yeah, I felt it too. Then everything went silent.